have not tuned in and watched NieR Automata before, if this is your first try, we're going to be running ending A, which is one of several different endings. I think most people would consider the complete game to be endings A through E.
Everything that lives is
But
designed to
ending A
end.
and B are extremely
We are
similar,
perpetually
and we
trapped
run ending A
in a
because it's just
never-ending
about the
spiral of life
right
and
length
death.
for a speed run, and we all enjoy playing
Is
as
this a
2B,
curse
the main character of
or
ending
some
A,
kind
a
of
lot more
punishment?
than 9S,
I
the main
often think
character.
about
Well,
the
I
God
guess I
who
don't want to say
blessed us with
everybody,
this
but
kryptonite
there's
Yeah.
a reason ending A is the
and
more
wonder
popular
if we'll ever
category.
have the chance to kill
Yeah, with
him.
9S, you're just a bit more, I guess, like a limited combat-wise.
Yeah, I think the main reason is so this speed run should be about an hour and a half. Could be, up to, 5 minutes, 6 minutes faster than that, depending on how speedy they are today. I wouldn't expect it to be much slower than an hour and a half unless somebody has some sort of drastic error or technical issue.
Which can definitely happen. Me and Mytherium had a race last week, and a lot of spaghetti on both sides. So.
Oh man, that was that was when you guys both died at the exact same time on Eve, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So anything can happen here.
Oh man, I would love if this race was as close as that one. Alright, so in the beginning here, guys, first minute and 45 seconds or so, nothing really important going on. We get hit by that one laser, but other than that, there's pretty much no input. The first 4.5-ish minutes we're in a shmup here. So you'll see both these runners controlling their flight units in a couple of different forms and just trying to kill the waves of enemies as quickly as possible as they fly in from the sides of the screen and the top and bottom of the screen.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on here, speed-wise.
Yeah, there's, I'd expect both these runners to finish within a couple seconds of each other, but depending on how quickly they can kill these enemies off screen, or, because we can actually kill the enemies a little bit off the screen with the shots that we have. So you'll see sometimes you kind of don't see an enemy spawn for a second. That's just because they're killing them before they come onto the screen here.
Still pretty even. About a second difference or so. Which is to be expected.
Alright, so now we're getting into mobile configuration here. So in this, it's sort of like a twin stick shooter type deal, where you can aim and move independently, which is cool. It adds some more freedom to it, even more opportunity with the light attack there, to try and melee one group of enemies as they come in while shooting another.
Yeah, a little bit more variety than just a straight up top-down view, top-down mode.
Okay, so you probably noticed the runners getting hit by some lasers. That's not on accident, that's actually on purpose. They will probably be getting hit by some pieces of geometry coming up as we enter the factory here too. The goal of that is to burn all of our large and medium recoveries. We start the game with some buffs already in our inventories, and we want to eliminate as many of our recoveries as we can. Well, just the medium and large ones, in order to speed up the menuing time to buff up. Alright, so some slight optimizations there, doing some light attacks for the increased reach to kill some grouped up enemies or some enemies who are just coming onto the screen.
wschseng is a little bit off on his pattern there, so looks like Mytherium did pull ahead by about a second there.
Let's see, killing the enemies in a circle. Alright, yeah, so Myth is going to be ever so slightly ahead. I think he'll be pretty happy. He'll be okay happy. wschseng is not going to be super happy with that crash, but it's honestly not a big difference. So, we got 2B now, MT.
Yep, just dealing with these stubbies right off. Probably one of the most annoying enemies in the game. due to the fact that their sort of standard attack, where they just whirl their arms around in a circle, it makes it very hard to do this dashing heavy attack that is used in pretty much every single sort of combat scenario.
They also, the combination of the whirly arms and the fact that they like to jump backwards away from your damage glitches make them really annoying. So by the way, for anyone who does not know, the main form of combat that you will be seeing for almost the entire run from these runners is going to be known as a damage glitch. It looks like, if you've played the game, just like their standing heavy attack, where they throw this sword that spins. But what they're actually doing is they're dashing right before and then canceling the dash with a heavy attack, which for whatever strange reason actually causes the spinning sword to deal 5 times damage, which allows us to kind of chew through almost every enemy in the game and really damage things quickly.
Yeah, 5 times damage as well as hitting.
Ooh, let's go Myth.
A lot. Mytherium going for what, crane skip here?
Yeah, so
yeah,
this
go
is
ahead.
a new strat. So for the longest time, oh, wschseng doing it too. So for the longest time in your speedrunning, what we would do is we would go and we would jump up on that girder that you're supposed to shoot down over there, and then do another high jump up onto the crane. But just recently, there was a slight optimization found where they clip out of bounds there, and it saves like 3 seconds, done quite quickly. So really small time save. In fact, wschseng probably losing some time on it because of how long it took him to get the clip. But really cool to see both these runners adopting it already.
Looks like a pretty good laser there from Mytherium.
Yeah,
like
he had a pretty
4.
good time. 4 of them without spending too much time grouping them either, which was nice.
wschseng's not quite as good, but I think looks like he's still got 3 or so.
You know, ma'am.
Ooh, so Myth's failing a deceptively difficult trick known as bridge skip. We just do the highest high jump we can by delaying our lift and then using some of our aerial attacks in the air. Oh my gosh.
Mytherium not getting quite a big enough delay on that lift there. You want to...
wschseng failing it too. I think these runners are feeling the nerves. So this is a deceptively difficult trick, but both these runners are perfectly capable of doing it first try consistently. So I think there definitely may be some nerves going on here.
And Mytherium failing that first out of bounds clip right there, you have to sort of delay your heavy attack in the air there a bit, or you will not actually be able to clip out. And then, yeah, just wschseng doing another pod launch here, just to clip through that second wall, just to take a more direct line to this last silo here.
Oh, I also wanted to mention, forgot to mention when we were talking about crane skip that wschseng actually the finder of crane skip. So of course he's gonna do it in the run. I mean, he found it. He's gotta represent.
Looks a lot cooler than the crane skip as well.
Yeah, so you're also going to see them, especially on the bigger enemies, you're going to see them flash their light on and off a bunch of times. The enemies will get angry, and that indicates that they've been taunted. They get some steam and sort of a red effect. And taunted enemies both deal and take extra damage, so helps increase our speed of combat even more when you combine the 5 times damage from damage glitch.
Yeah, but the downside to that is that they deal 0.5 times as much damage as well. So later on, taunting can be a little scary if you do not have defensive buffs. So we'll see if these guys buy them or not.
So wschseng doing a really cool strat where that we call angle swag, where you do that high jump and then plunge over the top of angles, which is kind of out of bounds. Only saves a little bit less than a second if you do it perfectly. So it really is a swag strat, but cool to see wschseng get it.
No response from long-range communications.
Doesn't matter. I'll just take him out.
Mytherium trying to throw out some of these damage glitches, these spinning swords to hit this saw as it's moving back and forth. And if he can get enough hits in while it's moving, he doesn't need to use a melee buff here. Looks like he did get enough hits in. We'll see if wschseng has to buff or not. Looks like he is good on damage as well. So yeah, that's a pretty nice time save, not having to go into the menu and use a melee buff there.
Yep, pretty good from both these runners. Still relatively close together. This next fight against angles can be a little bit of a potentially a little bit of a separator. So they're either going to take pretty much the exact same amount of time, or after the first cutscene here with angles, he can give one of several different attacks, and you have potential to get bad RNG and lose 23 seconds.
Yeah, so just keep an eye out for when the cutscene starts, and then the attack that Angles does right after the cutscene. If you see a punch coming, then somebody got very unlucky.
So these runners are doing a little bit of damage optimization. Really easy to threshold this boss, get him to his HP threshold before the end of the fight. But just to show off their skills, they're doing damage glitches, and then they're using pod slow-mo. So you'll see they'll stop firing the pod, and it'll get those little 3 lines above it. And those 3 lines indicate that he's charging a pod program. But it turns out for the first 2 seconds of charging a pod program, it actually slows down all the enemies and their animations. And that allows them to keep Angle's hand out a little bit longer and get more damage.
What's your status?
So let's see. Oh, looks like Mytherium gets punches. Very,
So
very unlucky.
adds punches. Get your Bible thumbs out in the chat if you're rooting for Mytherium, because he's 23 seconds behind. Oh,
Sang getting punches as well.
all right, double punches. So that's actually not going to cause any separation between the runners. Neither of them will be happy about it, but because they both got punches, not going to hurt either of them compared to the other one.
Yeah, not really a big deal. It's about a 23 or so second time loss compared to the other attacks that Angles can do.
Now, what can be a big deal about it, though, is I know for some people that punches can be really tilting. I know I wouldn't be surprised if both these runners reset every time they got punches when they do runs of the game for PB.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest instance of randomness, and it's so early on that yeah, most people do reset there.
Yeah, it's really NieR is great in most respects, and there's really very little RNG in the game. I mean, there's slight little bits in terms of, you know, a boss might give you an attack that's easier or harder to do it, or might go invulnerable for just, you know, like a couple of seconds at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But really the only big singular instance of RNG here.
And both runners just sort of waiting this out. Angles has to do these attacks before the fight can progress in the next phase. I think both players were on the superior pipe, the left pipe.
No response to
Gross. Alright, Myth doing a double lift up here to climb the stairs. It's a little bit quicker of a route up to 9S here on top of Angles.
Having a bit of trouble with the ladder here. Oh, I think he might. I don't know. Is it even possible to get up there without grabbing the ladder? Maybe he was going for that. Oh yeah, okay. Seng, I think, is doing the same thing.
Yeah. No, you can't get up without grabbing the ladder. I know that. And I've been doubting whether or not the jump into the ladder thing is actually any faster. I think it actually isn't.
No, I think that 2B can jump up that entire ladder length.
In one hop. So. All right, so we're entering the final bit of prologue here, where we fight Angles. Mostly, it's just sort of, you know, shooting him and doing damage to make sure that we get enough damage. And there's a little bit at the end of the dialogue. You want Angles to end an attack as soon as possible once the dialogue's over, and that will allow us to progress to his to the final phase of the fight. So there's a little bit of RNG there, but you never lose or gain more than a couple of seconds in my experience. So.
And you can actually manipulate it a bit if you intentionally take damage from missiles. The game will freeze when you get into like really low health. So it is actually possible to sort of mitigate that randomness somewhat.
It is possible, howeto, not without risk. As yeah. I don't know if anyone here caught our earlier race between Dotto and Canaris, but Canaris, world record holder of the game, actually died attempting to manipulate the speed of the game by taking damage from missiles, which actually loses all of your prologue time. You have to restart the game completely from the beginning. So
that's the risk reward there is pretty huge.
yeah, it looks like both these runners, unlike Canaris, successfully getting ending W skip. Ending W is what happens if you die here. So.
And 3 more punches here to finish off Ingalls. It is possible there's like a 1 or 2 frame window where you can attack again at the right time and you'll actually get a double hit. So you only need 2 hits instead of 3. Just a little cool little thing that you always hope to see.
Angles gives us punches, so we give him punches. Yeah, ending W for whoops, I died in prologue. Alright, so mashing through some text here and getting into just a little bit of menuing where we have to set our volume levels.
Yeah, setup and then the brightness as well. Turn self-destruct on. Little bit more difficult to do quickly than you would probably think.
Yeah, interesting here. I encountered when watching a new player do it that he wanted to run the game with voice volume off, but the game actually won't let you set voice volume to 0 there. So you actually can't run the game with voice volume off unless you want to change it after locking it in the first time. So
that's pretty funny, actually. I did not actually know that.
Yeah, although I am waiting for people to get the fraction of a second time save by playing on volume 1.
1 tick, yeah.
Yeah, 1 tick faster than full volume. Although I don't recommend playing on somewhere in between, like I do, because if you accidentally set your voice volume too high, you'll be annoyed for the whole rest of the run.
Mytherium choosing not to do a dialogue cancel there. We'll see if Seng does it. Yeah, he's going to hold B to pull up 9S's dialogue and then walk into another dialogue trigger, which will cancel out both of them.
Yeah, and we see a lot of partner dialogue cancels to run. Myth will certainly be using that trick later, just opting not to do it in that spot, because it doesn't really save that much time. I'm guessing he either noticed that 9S wasn't with him and opted not to do it, or just doesn't want to deal with having to pay attention. 9S can sometimes get caught in the initial room, so he might just not want to deal with that and just decide I'm not going to do it because it saves a little time. I'm just going to always do that nice long dashing kick attack to get as far into the slow walk dialogue as he can before he's forced to slow walk.
Yeah, there are a lot of attack animations that have these like forced run states afterwards. So that will sort of that animation has to finish before you start doing the very slow walk that 2B's normally stuck in during those like dialogue sections. So you'll see them do that into a lot of dialogue triggers or cutscenes.
So we got the second of 3 shmups in the run going on here. This one's really short, so we'll be getting out of it in just a second here.
You will see the first use of pod program there on one of those fidget spinners. Mytherium not quite close enough to the first one. We'll see how Seng, yeah, Seng takes it out right away. Caught up a little bit to Mytherium here.
Yeah, both these runners neck and neck up until this point, neither gaining a significant lead coming out of prologue or the bunker.
Good luck down there.
Alrighty, so now you're gonna see a new. You saw a little bit of it, I think, back in the bunker, but you're gonna see movement. Whereas in the prologue, we just chained a bunch of dashes together. Now we will alternate between dashing and punching.
Mytherium not quite getting into the cutscene, had to do a bit of extra movement there.
Yeah, he kind of spaghettied the movement a little bit.
Yeah, and these dash punches, the timing is pretty tight on getting the dash after the punch to cancel the punch animation. So this is definitely kind of a tough rhythm to get used to.
Yeah, we're gonna see this for only a little bit until we can upgrade our sword here. So Ooh.
Mytherium with the early pause.
So he was trying to enter that cutscene and pause as fast as he could.
And if you saw on Seng's screen, he did a slow walk into the cutscene. This is what we always try to skip by doing these attacks into dialogue triggers or cutscenes, is to skip that slow walk there.
Gonna see that in a lot of cutscenes during the run.
Target location.
It can be pretty easy to miss though, because we tend to do attacks around anyway as our form of movement, so you might not even notice. You'll usually only notice if someone misses one and gets that little bit of slow walking.
So now they are off to complete a few fetch quests before they can
quite a city once upon a time.
progress with the main
Bad
story and
vegetation's claimed
go to
most
the
of it
desert.
now.
Operator 60 to 2B. It is time for your
Alright,
regularly
so
scheduled contact.
yeah, we're gonna grab
2B.
a couple
Nothing
of
to
little
Good to hear.
things. You're gonna see Myth doing a little bit of almost like GoldenEye type
Does that
strat
actually
where he
have anything to
intentionally
do with our
doesn't look at
operation?
the robots that are near him so that he won't auto lock on. You'll see a couple of those during the run, not as much during this section,
Let's get these
but
back to the trader. Plant life is claimed
These
most
guys
of the
neck and
central
neck.
area.
I think we might see somebody take a lead at this this machine spawn up here. This spawn can be a bit tricky sometimes.
yeah, so people have different strats here.
Doors and such,
Some people, the goal is to try and you need drops that can come from these enemies. So the goal is to try to kill them both as quickly as possible, but you also don't want to kill them too far away because it takes a little bit for the drop to come out of an enemy once you kill it. Ooh,
Oh, Mytherium getting the execution.
did he?
Um,
Did it drop inside the rock,
I'm not sure. I don't know if it did or not.
or did he
Oh,
just
no.
lose track of it? No, he just lost track
Yeah.
of it. So there
Okay,
can be a
that's
glitch
everything
where the
the
drop
supply
can
trader is told.
clip inside that rock, and I think that's what Myth thought happened because he was spending a whole lot of time looking at that rock. But no, he just missed one on the ground. Got trolled a little bit there.
Yeah, you also have to be careful of those execution animations because those can be very long sometimes, and as well send the enemy flying away when you need a drop from it. Sang upgrading his sword there, so that is an increase of I think about 80% in attack power as well as attack speed. So now instead of the dash punches, they can now do what we call dash swings, which is instead of a dash light attack with Bearfish, you do a dash heavy attack with the short sword. It's a bit faster than the dash punches, and it's also a bit easier as well.
Coordinates confirmed for
You have a lot more
locations
time to
specified
cancel
by
the
systems
heavy
data.
attack,
Understood,
which
042.
makes it a lot easier on your
The
hands.
desert heat is going to make resupply efforts difficult. too.
So, if anyone was curious, I finally looked it up, and this is losers quarters, by the way. So the winner goes on to play Canaris in winner's semis.
Whew.
All right, so we're heading on out to the desert and with our newfound power of dash swinging that MTU is talking about, and we're gonna make a quick stop, as you're gonna see in Shang Green in a second here. Gonna make a quick stop to do some buys. We're gonna buy some recoveries. We're gonna buy some offensive buffs. We're gonna buy a plug-in chip that we can equip later on, and we're gonna buy the stuff that we need to ride an animal. That also sets up for a trick we're gonna do later on.
And once they're done with the buys here, they are going to activate this teleporter and then clip out of bounds by putting themselves between the teleporter and the wall and doing what we call a heavy hold, or since that failed, Sang opted to do a pod launch instead. Either one of those gives you enough forward momentum to clip through the wall there. And just take a more direct beeline to the desert barricade that we have to get through, which also has an out of bounds.
Yeah, so coming up, we're gonna see the desert barricade / desert discovery skip from these runners. So they're gonna clip out on the edge of this barricade here to avoid having to talk to Jackass and blow it up. Then what they're gonna do is they're gonna skirt the sort of out of bounds seam here. There's some invisible floor and some just standing on the sort of seam of the wall. And that's so that we can remain out of bounds. Hit this trigger that wschseng just hit, and then skip the cutscene that's there at the entrance to that cave. Only saves a couple of seconds because it is a skippable cutscene, so you can just enter it and then skip it. But saves a little bit of time to not have to do that.
It looks like both guys not having any problems with it at all, and you also got to see them do the same clip, but sort of on different sides of the wall. So you do have some options in some of these out of bounds clips. It's not just like one specific angle.
Yeah, so both these runners going a lot out of the way. We could have just beelined as soon as we got in the desert. We could have beelined straight to the right. But both these runners are doing the route where we go over and we grab pod C. And that's going to set up, it's going to take a while for you to, because it takes like 20-25 seconds to go out and get that pod. But it's going to set up for a couple of different moves that we do to get some time save later in the run.
Yeah, that will give us access to sort of a pod program bug where if you're on pod A and you charge up a laser, it'll bring up pod C as well and fire both pod A and pod C's laser, but it won't put pod C on cooldown for some reason. So you effectively have 3 lasers.
Both wschseng and Mytherium failing Stupid Rock, with Myth failing it a little bit more, a little bit worse than wschseng. So it's a little bit of an optimization there, where we try to plunge against the wall as the robot burrows down and we go into that cutscene. To allow us to travel during it. Yeah, Myth getting another slow walk there. I'm feeling a little bit of tilt coming on from Myth here, so I hope he can gather himself a little bit.
Yeah, seeing those slow walks gets it gets pretty irritating sometimes.
We've seen a lot of slow walks here, guys. I think these runners are feeling maybe a little bit of the race nerves.
Absolutely. wschseng getting this clip into this apartment building first try, Mytherium as well, and they can use this to skip a large part. You're supposed to chase that robot through the housing district and get a couple cutscenes and stuff, but luckily we can go out of bounds, skip all that, go directly to the Atom Pit. Oh.
Okay, good. So if you mess up and you land on a piece of geometry down there, you can potentially soft lock the game, or at least be forced to then enter the pit and use a kind of difficult recovery strat. So really good presence of mind from Mytherium to avoid that soft lock.
Yeah, that was very, very scary.
Myth can't find the trigger.
Missing the trigger as well. Okay, he's just going to have to void out and then get to the platform after respawning. It's not too much slower than doing it without voiding out, but obviously him being behind, he doesn't want to waste any extra time.
I was curious if we were going to see platformless but not voidless. He tried. You saw him plunge and go for it. But yeah, Myth having a little bit of a rough run here.
And Mytherium just changed his weapon set, so that weapon set 1 is the same as weapon set 2, which allows him to throw out a spinning sword, then change weapons and throw out another one. And both of these guys just trying to kill as many machines as they can for experience, as well as plug-in chip drops.
Yeah, and we're about to fight the first, well, I guess not the first post-prologue boss of the run, known as Adam. And so we're going to try and just do damage glitches and taunt him. I believe we're going to see some slow-mo from these runners as well. The sort of humanoid bosses have a tendency to do attacks and just sort of movement that makes them not take full damage from damage glitches, so a little bit of slow-mo can help with that.
See, if wschseng not able to skip that little cutscene there, if you do enough damage quickly, you can skip that little sword dodge cutscene. So a little bit of an opportunity. Very small opportunities for Mytherium to catch up here.
Alright, so wschseng gonna shoot some lasers at Adam to try to get him to come down, while Myth attempts to get sword dodge skip. I don't think is Adam taunted for Myth.
No.
No. So Myth failed to taunt Adam and also missed sword dodge.
And Sang's first phase took a bit longer, so he had to use all 3 lasers on Adam when he was on the rafters to get enough damage to skip that other phase. So not able to use slow-mo. Still has a pretty good last phase of the Adam fight.
So we're seeing a little bit of spaghetti kind of here from both runners. I don't think either of these runners are going to be happy with their Adam kill time. This is going to be, you know, racing and tournaments is not always about who has a, who has a great PB and who, has this, amazing run. But sometimes both runners are kind of spaghettiing, and it's about trying to pull it together and still put together the best race you can, even if it's not going to be a good time compared to your PB.
Absolutely.
Also, everyone in chat saying that Adam is worst boss is totally wrong. Grun is worst boss. You guys are wrong.
Adam is pretty bad.
Looks like we're safe now.
He doesn't take 15 minutes.
What the hell
That's
just
true.
happened?
I know.
Sang using a pod launch here to try and clip out of bounds using this box on the wall. Gets it second try, and from here he can make it into the radius of that transporter that he accessed earlier in order to do a save and load. This skips a dialogue section, and you can't save during that dialogue, so we'll see how Mytherium does.
Myth getting box first try. All right.
Nice.
I mean, you can see, so box, that box clip there, I at least personally find much more difficult than a lot of the little things Mytherium's messing up. So you can tell the quality of his skill as a runner. He's just, got a little bit of spaghetti and maybe some tilt going on here.
Yeah, it happens. Box clip, definitely one of the more difficult or annoying tricks. You have to cancel the pod launch with a dash early enough to where you don't go completely through the wall. So
Maybe we should. Roger.
kind of a hard strat.
Operator to 9S. Data upload complete.
All right, so we're making our way out to the amusement park. So seeing a little bit of the GoldenEye strats I was talking about from Shang, where he just avoids looking at some enemies there. And then you're going to see him try to plunge down into the sewer, which he misses, and he's going to go for a backup strat there where he just grabs onto the ladder. It only loses like a fraction of a second, so he's fine.
Yeah, we'll see if Mytherium can get it. That's like the most interesting thing in this movement to the amusement park, I think.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, we actually can hop over the barricade in front of us and go straight to the amusement park, but because there's a trigger we need on the ladder coming up that Shang just climbed, we actually don't skip it. Shang gonna be doing a cutscene skip here where he jumps off that route to go around, over and around the opening trigger.
I suppose.
Yeah, not a huge time save, but nicely done there.
And now he's coming up on Let's Play skip. So he's going to clip out of bounds by plunging on top of this building, which will allow us to not only beeline to where we're trying to go, but also skip some, I think it's one skippable cutscene and one not skippable sort of like mini cutscene over here. All we got to do is make sure to go over and grab a trigger in the corner by these trees. To make sure the roller coaster functions properly.
Mytherium not getting quite enough height there. Gets its second try. Uses the top of the elevator just to start a bit higher up. Makes it a little more lenient to cover all this distance.
Yeah, it's actually. I actually had not seen that version that they both did before, where you go on top of the elevator.
Mytherium voiding out there and losing some time. Grabbing that roller coaster trigger there, that one is essential to actually enter the boss room once the roller coaster gets there, or else it will go all the way around. It's very easy to miss that if you're trying to cut your movement too close.
So Mytherium there just self-destructing for unapproved by one commentator reasons, so that it can change 2B's outfit.
Hey, 2B.
So this coaster section is almost over here, but it's just an auto-scroller where they're just gonna kill some enemies.
So what do you think?
Well, there's nothing else to do. There is a quite difficult skip where you can skip having to be on the roller coaster for this auto-scroller, but neither runner opting to do it. Not really marathon safe unless you are extremely practiced at it.
Yeah, the consequences for failing it are not great.
Alright, so we're starting Beauvoir, a boss that a lot of players really like casually. It's a really cool sort of set piece. Gonna attempt to, we're gonna buff here, and we're gonna try to get her to her first threshold after she starts her first attack, but before she finishes it. Nice. So that she doesn't get too far away from the stage, because it's really slow when she has to walk slowly back to the stage.
Nice job by Seng there.
What the hell?
Our records don't say anything about a machine like this.
Alright, so Mytherium getting just as well. He almost, so what happens there is you can actually get, she always does the same attack first, but you can actually get her to do a slower, different attack if you threshold her too quickly.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of annoying, you can't go too fast situations.
Speedrunners don't like not being able to go as fast as they can.
If we take hacking damage, it'll affect our bodies as well.
Seng getting hacked there. I think each of those probably loses about 4 seconds or so. Getting hacked again.
I think it loses more than 4 seconds actually. It just in personal experience, I feel like each one loses more like 6-ish seconds.
Mytherium using laser strats there. One android left, had a bit of trouble shooting it.
Dashing through a hack wave. Not what he meant to do. You saw him try and jump and dodge it. His jump was late, but the dash dodged it anyway.
Keep it busy. You got it.
And Shang finishing off Beauvoir and then SDing real quick after he levels up. That's to set up for a death work that we'll be doing a little bit later in the run. So that is an approved use of SD.
And then we'll see if Seng got a small recovery or not. 2B cannot use self-destruct again while she's still at 1 HP, so in order to gain access to self-destruct again, yeah, Seng using a small recovery just so he has access to self-destruct.
Yeah, and self-destruct is a really wonderful thing to have access to. We use it for all sorts of things in the run. We use it to get ourselves to low HP, like you just saw. We use it to refresh our heavy attack to get a little bit more height in midair, like Shang just did. We use it because it gives us some additional downward momentum, which can help with some clips, which is one of the reasons why I did it here. There's a clip over near a box that we'll be doing out of Pascal's village, where it can be helpful to have SD available. We also use it sometimes, like you saw out in the desert, to just, we're trying to go down and it helps us get down a little bit faster. And even recently someone thought, hey, what if we use it for the intended purpose? So we actually use it on the final boss Eve to do damage, which is the intended purpose of it.
Mytherium's delayed lifts looking just a tiny bit off. Since Mytherium was at 1 HP, he could not actually use self-destruct to get an extra heavy attack in the air to get some more height, so he had to just delay his lift as much as possible.
Now, fortunately, despite missing out on that recovery, Mytherium is quite competent in his ability to do that box clip without the aid of self-destruct, so hopefully we won't see that cause him too much of a problem.
Yeah, it's still very, very possible to do quickly. It's just much more precise of an angle.
So you're going to see Shang come up on that clip we were talking about and then just try and beeline towards the next boss, which is City Angles. You saw there him failing to get it first try without the SD, and then using the SD to aid in getting that clip. So Shang getting an animal, gonna ride back to the resistance camp. Not the preferred animal. We would prefer to get a boar. So hopefully Mytherium will find a boar. Because with the boar we have a strat we can do to be a little bit faster.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on Myth and see how many tries it takes him to clip through this box here. Oh, first try, nice.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Let's hope he also can get a boar. Yep, looks like it. So we'll get to see probably my favorite movement tech in the game.
Oh yeah, there he goes. Boar hopping.
Is actually slightly faster than sprinting with the boar at least.
So Shang here canceling that dialogue by touching the door over there, because we can't talk to Anemone and pick up the item we need until we get out of this dialogue. And then he's gonna go back and shoot the moose like a big meanie and get it to kill him for a death warp. This will take us back to Pascal's village, because when we die in this game, we lose two things. We lose our experience since we last saved, and we lose all of our plug-in chips. He just saved, so he has gained no experience since then, and he has not equipped any additional plug-in chips. So we actually don't lose anything, and we just get some free movement back to Pascal's village.
Now do you believe we're not a threat?
Shang going for the punch the children strat, actually a speedrun strat that we do to cancel out of some Pascal dialogue so that we can talk to him and trigger the next part of the story. Also, nobody in chat called me out when I said that they were going to clip out of the box and go to city angles. I was totally wrong. I forgot about going back to resistance camp first. I swear I run the game, but it's actually not the first time I've made that mistake on commentary. Because it's the sort of same... We do a lot of running out of Pascal's village, and I have gotten confused about which running out of Pascal's village we're at.
Yeah, you sort of do this same exact movement that Seng's doing right now. Twice.
I didn't notice May putting out in chat that Myth got a frame-perfect trick to skip there's a little dialogue box that pops up right as you enter the resistance camp, but if you dismount your animal at the exact same time, you'll skip it.
Very, very cool. But the only thing is you can't go too far out of the resistance camp when you're trying to get killed by the animal, or the message will actually pop up, so you actually have to make sure that the animal comes to you.
We probably shouldn't get near that guy's feet. Yeah, no. Let's find another route.
9S correctly pointing out that we should find another route, so Mytherium running right up onto the route like he asked.
Very, very nice.
The flight units should be on the roof of that building up ahead. It'll be dangerous, but we're not going anywhere.
Alright, so now we are heading over to City Angles. So Shang is going to attempt to do one of several different ways that runners do to get around or over an invisible wall, so that we don't have to fight the first angles here. Very nice. Jumping right out around that wall. That can be a really sort of finicky thing. There's just a small hole there that's only available for the first couple seconds of the fight. See if Mytherium is able to get it as well. Nope. So Mytherium's gonna go for a double lift off some geometry here in order to get over it.
First try. It's not a huge deal.
Not a big time loss. So that double lift there, real quick, we use it a couple portions during the run, but it's just when you lift, the very initial part has a little bit of a downwards movement, and if you touch the ground during that downwards movement, which is easiest to do on sloped ground, or you can also do it on some objects, but the game will actually refresh your jumps because it thinks you've touched the ground.
And Mytherium's going to be using 2 pod programs right on that City Angle's right shoulder. Kills him very, very quickly.
Yep, both runners getting the quick kill. That's one of the time saves from getting Pod C I was talking about, because you need 2 full damage pod programs to kill him. Shang now making his way down the crater for a section of the run known as Negotiations. And it actually triggers a time-saving glitch. Turns out we get that glitch sort of for free by going fast and going down in the crater, known as Skype glitch. You're going to notice that whenever the runners sort of get a call from command or anyone in the bunker, there's this little, ringing sound that they have to listen to. And Skype glitch means no more of that. The calls will just start right away. So it's a nice
Seems to
little
be underground.
time save.
Like way underground.
Guess
Absolutely.
we'll see once we get there. If we're lucky.
You're not much for
All right,
plans, are
so
you, 2B?
negotiations. For anyone who doesn't know, actually, just like last night, we found a way to speed up and sort of skip a section of negotiations. But the exact routing for working in what we need to do it, combined with the difficulty of the trick, means that I would be shocked if either runner did it during this race. So this section is a sort of time section. We're waiting for this dialogue to finish. We can kill Eve up to 1 time for some experience, so you're going to see both runners do that. And then you're going to see them do a high jump out of bounds, so that we can go accomplish some small other tasks while we're waiting for the dialogue.
We can become
Yeah, and this is a very, very high barrier here, so we're going to have to evade an enemy's attack and do a heavy counterattack in order to get enough height to actually get over. So you're going to see the heavy counterattack, heavy lift, heavy jump, heavy self-destruct, heavy dash to get over that barrier there that wschseng just did.
Yeah, and it's interesting that all the mechanics we use to gain height are certainly intended by the devs.
Why then?
But they just never really realized how much you could string them all together. Well, I shouldn't say all the mechanics in that jump. I don't think they intended double lifting, but that jump out is using entirely intended mechanics, just getting over a wall that they thought was high enough, and it's not high enough.
Looks like both guys getting out first try. So what they're going to do now is, I didn't see if wschseng picked up the titanium alloys from that chest. He did. All right. So they're just going to pick up that chest of titanium alloys and then destroy all these machines here in the tunnel. Makes it easier to get back out. You don't have to worry about automatically targeting them with your dash swings,
This guy's bonkers. Well,
as well as giving a bit more extra experience.
the only remaining option is to destroy you.
Yep, and so now we're seeing wschseng run through these nice clear caverns with his dash swings. Oh, it looks like there's a couple of guys here though.
Looks like he wasn't able to take out all of them, but not a less than the second difference for sure.
Back this way again?
Alright, so let's see how far ahead wschseng is. He certainly is a little bit ahead. 47 minutes is when he went into that transporter there, so we'll see when Mytherium gets in.
See his timer pause at
About
07.
time we had access to those.
Care to fill me
Oh
in?
yeah, that's a good one to look at it.
Probably about 20 seconds or so. Mytherium having to jump on this ladder and jump off to cancel some dialogue. Looks like about 25 seconds difference. That's not very much at all. wschseng doing another partner dialogue skip here. Nicely done.
Yeah, so one of the great things about NieR as a speed game is that a lot of the difficult and big time saves come near in a sort of back-to-back fashion near the end of the run. So it makes it really exciting in that there really is a lot of comeback potential near the end of a run.
Yeah, the last like 20 minutes or so has a lot of potential for elite trades and such.
Rest a little bit, 2B. It's been a while.
Mytherium,
I feel like it.
bit of spaghetti there, doing some random punches.
So you're going to notice, guys, that their timers are not synced right now. And the reason that they're not synced is because we time this game loadless instead of RTA. Makes it a little bit more fair, especially for PS4 runners who have a decently slower load time than PC runners. But so when they haven't seen the same amount of load screens, you're going to see their timers get desynced, and even when they have, there might be a slight difference in how fast their PCs load.
Sang doing some buying and selling here, just buying some larger buffs, selling the machine cores that you get from boss fights, which sell for 10k each, which is a lot. Sang choosing to equip his plug-in chips right now, so looks like he got 2 crit +1s. That's not too bad. That's 2% for each crit +1, so that's 4% total. Mytherium going to do the same thing. Equip the resilience first. And looks like he got a nice crit +1. So it looks like he had 2 crit +1s and a crit +0, so that's 5% crit chance. Both guys getting pretty close to the same luck there.
Both guys will be happy about that. I mean, you're not like over the moon. Like you can get 6 or 7%. But it's very possible to get like very little or to no crit. So and in my it's actually really uncommon to only get like 1% usually because of a glitch known as the double loot glitch, where if you enter a cutscene with items on the ground, it will loot the items for you, and it'll actually give you 2 of each of them. So crit chips tend to come in 2s.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if we mentioned it, but that resilience chip that they equipped makes it so that if they get hit while they have more than 80% health, they basically have super armor so that they won't get staggered by enemy attacks. And since they'll be healing basically as soon as they get hit, you'll basically never get staggered in combat, which is very nice.
Yeah, and so it's nice to see one of my favorite just like little parts of the run is right at the beginning of the desert when we buy, because we buy the items to set up that animal ride into Death Torp, we buy the resilience to set up our late game combat, and we activate the transporter, sort of all right next to each other, and you set up these 3 things that don't come in till later in the run.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, and also there is no base crit chance in this game. You have to have the chips in order to get critical hits, and I think crits are 5 times damage. So between that and damage glitch and buffs and taunt, really gives us access to a lot of damage potential.
Alright, so the movement here in this forest section is actually deceptively difficult with some robots we don't want to accidentally auto-lock onto, and a lot of weird geometry. So our dash and our dash swing both have different potential to sort of carry us along geometry or pop us up in the air, and we don't want to pop up in the air because it's slower and it we'll wind up not being able to dash, swing, and stuff like that. So some really nice.
Sang had very good movement.
Yeah, really making use of. It's not easy to sort of stay suctioned to the ground there that whole time.
Yeah, you really want to follow the ground instead of sort of going horizontally off whatever rock you're on.
Shang doing a fun trick here known as Rainbow Road. There's lots of different versions to it. We have a lot of tools to gain horizontal distance in the air here.
Ooh, Shang barely making that.
Yeah, it was kind of close, but if you do enough tricks to gain air distance, you can just jump straight across this gap.
Looks like Mytherium barely making it as well. And Sang did another out of bounds there between that tree root and the wall, just so we can go directly to the outside of the castle and climb up these windows to go straight to the A2 room instead of having to go through all that castle platforming.
Really aesthetically pleasing trick, because it really just feels like these windows were placed here right for us.
Oh, Mytherium getting very close to falling back in bounds inside the castle, which is very bad.
Oh. Alright, so A2 fight.
You'll see Mytherium doing a pod launch here just to get as close to the cradle as possible.
This fight can definitely have some time gain or loss. A2 loves to do an attack where she dashes right off the screen and we can't hit her.
Installation.
Yeah, she just does what she wants. It can be annoying.
But why?
Let's go.
And so we want to really attempt to kind of stun lock her as much as possible. We want to throw a spinning sword that she'll fall into right as she comes down, and then really try and keep our sword spinning, which Shang is having kind of a bit of trouble doing here. He's really
not great
forgetting this
luck.
combat a lot, actually.
Looks like Mytherium having a much better fight.
But she's...
Ooh. Yeah. A2 dashing on both their screens at the same time. Looks like they're gonna finish.
Yeah,
Pretty
Myth
close
gained
to
all
each
his time
other.
back. Myth gained like all of his time back there.
Let's go
Yep.
after her, 2B.
Shang had a lot of trouble. So one of the things we haven't explained yet is that you saw in the beginning of Adam, both runners switching their equip sets so that they have small sword on heavy for both set 1 and 2. And that enables us to do double damage glitch, where we throw one damage glitch, switch weapon sets and throw another, and the first one will actually stay spinning. And it's important to know that why Myth gained that time back there is Shang messed up a ton of double damage glitching, where he did not switch weapon sets, so he was recalling his first sword when he tried to throw another, and altogether just kind of getting caught in some dashes.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what what happened there. It was almost like he was trying to space the damage glitches, but that was I don't know what happened there. We'll have to ask him.
What happened there? But yeah, you know, as cool as all the skips and stuff are, good combat is a huge amount of time save in this run. Good clean combat.
Yeah, combat makes a huge difference. More so than you would think. It's also a lot harder to judge your like combat time saves than it is your movement time saves.
So I see Marky is in the chat. Marky, creator of or finder of many of the skips in this run, will be disappointed to know neither runner did the negotiation skip,
Thanks, 2B.
putting his hard work to waste.
Machines are the enemy. Don't forget it. Oh, it should. There is
Setting up and out of bounds here, jumping between this box and this computer.
I
You
hate
will
this clip.
get pressed, sort of clipped out of bounds while sort of hovering there. Mytherium having trouble dashing through the fence. That can be a bit tricky.
Having trouble on the box too.
Yeah.
So we're oh no.
Oh, Mytherium getting back inbounds. That means he's going to have to get this cutscene and then take the intended slow route to get to the shore instead of being able to do that void out that Sang just did.
Yeah, so what Sang did is he grabbed that cutscene from below and then voided out so we can go all the way back up high and then plunge down and drown near the end where he wants to be. We use that principle again of voiding out after grabbing the trigger we need later in the Deep Factory.
Sang making short work of that fidget spinner. That is the scariest part of the section, or the enemy that has the most potential to cost you a lot of time. It can fly off and sort of choose to do whatever it wants. We'll see how Mytherium does.
Do both these runners use defense buffs?
I saw that Sang bought defense buffs. I don't think Mytherium buys them though.
Alright, so Sang is entering everyone's favorite portion of the run, Grun. So, in case you don't know, guys, Grun is a 15-minute long section that's mostly auto-scroller, with the exception of this initial shmup and a little bit of boss fighting. If you guys got anything to do, you guys got to make a burrito, you guys got to go to the bathroom, you guys got to go adopt a cat, now is the time to do so. Not the most fun portion of the run.
And Mytherium sort of having that thing that I talked about where didn't quite get enough damage on the fidget spinner quick enough, so it just kind of chose to just fly away. And when it does that, you kind of just have to wait until it decides to come back at you again.
Yeah, chat's got their bed emoji, their resident sleepers out. It is worth noting there is some possible time save, time loss during Grun, but a lot of it has to do with RNG on the cores. So, you know, just in case you weren't quite sure about whether you wanted to dislike Grun, it's also got RNG. And
we can take the time to point out that there is a bounty for finding a way to skip this section of the game. It's currently at $2,200, a homemade curry pizza, a caffeinated alcoholic beverage. If you could find a way to skip this shmup section, skip Grun, you can make some money. So wschseng now is on the section of Grun that's all completely auto-scroller. The only way to lose time will be on the 3 shield generators that are coming up.
Alright, so Grun unofficially is the time for controversial opinions because nobody wants to pay attention to the shmups here. So, alright, MT, hit me with a controversial opinion about NieR speedrunning.
Oh,
or about life in general. Preferably not about politics or some topic that might anger people in chat.
Oh man, I'm gonna need a moment for this. I should have prepared in advance. Do you have one on your mind?
Well, I can quickly mention my favorite one, which is I think pod slow-mo is not a glitch. Hashtag free pod slow-mo. If you agree with me, get that out in chat. Glitches categories should allow pod slow-mo. But I've also got another controversial opinion, which has nothing to do with NieR, which is that both Chicago style and Detroit style pizza are not in fact pizza. They're casseroles and shouldn't be allowed to call themselves pizza.
Now that's a hot take.
So if you're from those areas and you want to fight me, then go right on ahead. But they're not pizza. And they will never be pizza. By the way, these runners real quick here fighting Goliath Flyer using some pod programs to save some time with pod C. But pretty much no way to sort of gain or lose time there. You just sort of activate the pod programs and do some attacks.
Enemy aerial unit destroyed. Reverting back to area reconnaissance.
Wait.
Yeah, a May brings up a nice point where a glitchless category is sort of more fun. They think without pod slow-mo, and I understand that, and I think that the people who run the category should decide their rules however is best for them, since I don't run the category. I just think it's pretty clearly not a glitch, so you may as well pick some other things, like decide that defensive buffs shouldn't be allowed, or maybe resilience is banned.
I mean, I don't think it being fun or not should determine the ruling of glitchless or not. Like, you should just make a fun % category or something.
I mean, well, you could call it glitchless no slow-mo.
Yeah, sure.
I also I'm really torn on maybe some glitchless runners can give me some perspective here on bridge skip, because I agree that it feels like so out of the spirit of glitchless, but I also feel like when you break it down, it's not a glitch.
That's probably my biggest gripe too.
But I that one I understand more because I see how it's sort of against the spirit of glitchless, whereas I don't even see how slow-mo is against the spirit of glitchless.
Yeah, I don't like to get in the spirit of X discussions.
see, now there's an important point I want to make. I mentioned this last time I brought this up, guys. I don't run the category, so my opinion is really not very valid on these things, and I will decline to share it outside of Grun. But sometimes a little bit of controversy can help us stay awake through some otherwise resident sleeper speedrunning.
Yeah, we have to spice it up. At least people are engaged, even if they're angry.
Yeah, see, Tech Theist mentioning, what about dialogue cancels, and I think if you talk to me enough, you could probably convince me to allow all the glitches in glitchless, which is why I am neither a runner nor should be in charge of the category. So wschseng killing a core here, getting some decent RNG. He wants to try to make sure he can kill those cores before they sort of rotate out of his view, because if they rotate out of his view, they can stay out of his view for a long time if you get bad RNG.
I think the reason that bridge skip was allowed, like, at least the one person's reasoning was the game tells you to like do something, and you don't do that by doing bridge skip, so it's a glitch.
Well, then I actually had an interesting discussion with Mr. Shiny Tentacruel, who he runs a sort of different, a non-speed run, a challenge run of the game, where he attempts to do no glitches, no skips, not skip any combat, and complete the game as getting hit as few times as possible. And so he, and in his category that he runs, which he sort of brought his rule mindset over from the Speed Souls community, the Soulsborne community, I should say, that he doesn't skip the scanner, which actually skips a fight, because the game tells you to go to the resistance camp, so he goes to the resistance camp. So there, you know, it's certainly, you know, it could be construed that, well, if bridge skip is not allowed because the game tells you to go somewhere else, then maybe they shouldn't be skipping scanner either.
Sure. I would have to agree with that, I think. I do have a question about that run though. So does like skipping the slow walk before cutscene, does that count as skip?
No, so the idea is to skip no combat.
Oh,
the idea is to use no glitches and skip no combat.
Okay.
So I don't think skipping the slow walk, unless, is there any slow walks that skip the potential to get hit?
I have no idea.
That might be a kind of gray area.
Is too thick. We need more firepower.
2B, let's try for a more direct approach.
Direct? Oh, right.
Alright, so Mytherium here, timing his shot to start at the end of wschseng approach to get the quickest kill possible on this section of Grun.
And then we have some more auto-scrolling, so...
Everyone's favorite.
That enormous machine.
Alright, so I got another controversial opinion, this time not relating to NieR again, but relating to pizza, so, you know, sort of equally bringing up pizza or NieR-related topics here. I think that if you were going to sort of create a grid of how purist you are about what is considered pizza, that I think the true ingredients purist pizza should have no toppings. That pepperoni, I think, is at least ingredient neutral, and anything else like bacon or sausage or pineapple or anything like that is not a pizza in my strictest definition of a pure pizza.
Yeah, that's a bit too purist for me, I think.
So, what do you allow? Do you allow all toppings, or just traditional pizza toppings?
We have the plan. Just hold on.
I don't know. Probably anything, really.
So, like, what? So you would allow? Let's see. What about apples? Are apples okay?
I mean, it's a topping, so sure.
Ice cream?
Sure.
All right. What about non-food items? Is it still a pizza with non-food items on the pizza?
Sure.
Or is there just a non-food item on top of your pizza, and there's nothing I can do to make that part of the pizza?
The latter, I think. I'd say the pizza is like the bottom 3 layers, you know? Bread,
so we have
sauce, cheese.
We have some wrong opinions in chat that I'm not going to acknowledge, just so we're clear. There's some wrong pizza opinions. Glad I'm making people mad, because that means they're still watching instead of leaving the stream. And that's really the goal of controversial opinion runtime, is to at least make people angry, which is better than being bored.
Mytherium actually using a pod program on the very first node there, just to make it a bit more consistent that he kills both nodes before the core decides to rotate. I think both of these guys having good core fights. The first 2 shield generators for both players.
Yeah, it's actually kind of nice to see. We've seen some spaghetti from these runners, maybe a little bit of NieRs, both actually doing quite well on Grun, which is nice because it's really frustrating to lose time on a big slow auto-scroller like this.
For sure. They still have one left, and it's, at least for me, it's the hardest one to do because the camera angle is a bit weird. Yeah,
I agree. I actually kind of like this strat Myth is using here. He's using pod so that he has to put as least effort as possible into aiming and hitting the robots that fly on the screen.
Yeah, Mytherium, he runs very hard, where one hit will kill you, so he's used to just going in a certain section of the screen that will despawn the enemies, but they are needed here because you want to be as high of a level as possible. So, also, always nice to see missiles used somewhere.
Alright, so Shang killing the final core and ending Grun, guys. So now is time to go all the way from 0 to 60. We go from Resident Sleeper to back-to-back fights and difficult / time-saving tricks.
Mytherium using the pod program again, should not have any issues here. Taking
Shang
out...
doing a drown warp real quick to speed up the movement a little bit. These guys are real close together skill, especially after Myth failed Flooded City V2.
Yep, looks like almost 35 seconds behind. Thing is almost 35 seconds ahead. But that could change. They are coming up to a difficult out-of-bounds clip here in this sewer called Copied City clip. We can skip going through the sewers normally and going down to the bottom of the city ruins. We can clip out of bounds instead and plunge straight down to where the elevator is.
Did either of our runners get VC3?
I do not think so. I didn't
don't
see
think so.
I didn't see Mytherium, but I saw Sang check, and he did not have the required materials.
So this trick that Shang is doing here is the most precise clip in the run.
I'm. Ooh.
Wow,
Okay.
interesting.
I haven't seen that before.
Shang, I have never seen this version of it. The lineup Shang is going for makes it, in my opinion, the most difficult trick in the run. There's an easier lineup you can do with keyboard and mouse, which uses a visual lineup. But
I have
Shang
never
going
seen that.
So he went for Canaris' scuff mark lineup, but he added in some backwards dashes, which I guess he feels makes it more consistent. I'm not sure if it actually changes anything.
Yeah, you see
Let's get it.
Mytherium. Nice. See Mytherium doing. Oh wow,
okay.
that was scary. Mytherium doing more what I'm used to, where you just do the heavy hold to right up against the wall. I don't really think there'd be any difference in difficulty between those two, so it's kind of weird to see that double backdash strat.
But Mytherium getting the clip second try, I believe, which is nice and quick, but then having a little bit of trouble with the plunge down, which I've never seen before, and I wouldn't be surprised if Myth hasn't had that happen to him before.
Yeah, that's definitely never happened to me. He like landed on the top of the sewer pipe somehow. That's weird.
Alright, so first try clip for Shang. Shang doing the clip, which begins a trick known as mansplaining. So Adam, really just sort of, sort of sexist here and just won't stop explaining to 2B, thinks she doesn't know the nature of humans. And so we're just gonna get right out of there. We can't bear to listen to it. So we get out of there, we run to the elevator. We want to leave. But I think at the last second, Shang is gonna decide not to leave and come back out of the elevator and just skip Adam's dialogue here.
Yeah, Adam has 3 different dialogue sections, I believe, the last one being the longest. So by entering the elevator, it will cancel Adam's dialogue. So as soon as he starts a certain line of dialogue, they will go into the elevator, dash back out. You can get stuck inside the elevator, and that's basically a soft lock because it'll take you back down to the tunnels and it'll unload this area. But neither one of these guys having that happen.
Yeah, so that actually saves a really big chunk of time on the run because Adam talks. He mansplains for forever.
I think his dialogue normally is something like 90 seconds long, so it probably cuts it somewhere close to half that.
Yeah.
Good time
Shang
save.
finishing the first phase of Adam, where you just threshold him as quickly as possible and wait for some more dialogue.
I don't have time for you. I need
Nice use of slow-mo there by Mytherium. This is one of the more... I'd say more... It's sort of like the first time you fight him, where he could just choose to do some really annoying attacks. Where he's kind of invincible for a few seconds, you can't really deal much damage.
Alright, so Shang finishing the Atom fight and going over to do another dialogue cancel. Oh, he fails Commander dialogue cancel. This, Myth could catch up off this, guys. This is like a, I want to say like a 15, 20 second, somewhere in that range, time loss.
Not sure, but definitely a good opportunity for Mytherium to catch up here, as long as he can get it as well.
Yeah, let's see. Come on, Myth. He gets it. Nice.
Nice.
So, it's the same sort of theory from the dialogue cancel we've seen before, the partner dialogue cancels, but instead of using our partner, which we don't have right now, 9S is inoperable, we use that person there against the wall, and so Myth and Shang attempted to jump and talk to him at the same time to carry us into the next dialogue trigger.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Sang having to read the mail right by the broken highway bridge there instead of being able to start the dialogue at the transporter in the resistance camp. So
Well, 2 days ago, I was
from here, Mytherium having a bit of trouble getting enough height to get up on the bridge here.
No kidding.
So
Apparently, there's
right
something
now,
missing
you will see also Sang will have to wait a bit longer than Mytherium will when he actually gets to factory. He has to wait a bit longer for Pascal to spawn there, so...
Apparently, it's
Yeah, so even though it looks like Shang is still ahead, we haven't sort of seen the time loss realized yet.
Planning to go speak with them myself, you know.
Yeah,
Can
exactly.
meet up over there?
Sounds good.
Yeah, so Deep Factory is a really exciting part of the run because there are sort of like 4 tricks in really quick succession that come up. So keep an eye out for all of them. The first trick is sort of separate. You can fail that and that's okay. Or oh my god, he almost killed Pascal.
Mytherium actually taking the lead here. You saw how long it took for Pascal to spawn there, so...
Even you?
If you kill Pascal there, I don't know what happens, but I don't think it's good.
Oh man, the synced up camera slots. That's good.
Alright, I disapprove of both these runners, but you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess.
The ends justify the means in this case. That swatting away the pod and then stepping forward is slightly faster than the slow walk animation.
Alright, so what I was saying is that Mook's room clip is the first of these clips, and you can do... What is Mytherium doing? This is cool, I haven't seen this before.
Yeah, it's something used in a different category.
Alright, well he's just hanging out while he waits for this robot, but... So, Mook's room, we're going to attempt to clip out of this room up top. We would normally have to fight the robots that are up there, but if we clip out, we can fall far enough down to despawn them.
And Mytherium and Sang pulling up a dialogue with Pascal here in order to cancel some dialogue that normally plays between 2B and Pascal. So saves about 7 seconds or so. Sort of one of the more recent findings.
Yeah. So after that, we have a sort of multi-part big skip, and that's why I wanted to try to get a little bit ahead to make sure we have enough time to explain it, because things are going to happen so fast. So we're gonna attempt to clip out of this room. If they don't clip out, they're only gonna get 1 or 2 tries at this clip here, using pod slow-mo to sort of keep the enemies away before the enemies will get too close, and the auto lock-on will prevent them from clipping out. Then they'd have to fight the guys in this room. But we're gonna ride down the elevator. But we really want to be up here. Myth getting it first try.
Nicely done. Let's see what Sang can do. Doing
Sang
a heavy
gets it
hold
first
instead.
try.
Yeah, nicely done.
Alright, so we're gonna ride down this elevator to get a necessary trigger. Then we're gonna try and clip out of the room down there and void out, which will let us come back and get back into the elevator to ride back up to this room. And that's where we really want to be. And then once we're in the room up there, actually let's take a break real quick to see what version of this skip people go for.
I would think V1 or V3 for both, where they just do a lift and then they pod launch out. Yep.
Both failing V3 on the first try though. going for alternate strats now because they don't want to risk losing time there.
Mytherium getting out, doing the heavy hold. Looks like Seng did the same thing.
These guys are neck and neck. All right, so we ride up to the top here. Then what we're gonna do is run to the other end of the room and try and clip out and clip into this section of the wall. Then we're gonna plunge down on the right and try and get a trigger. And we're gonna try and not only get that trigger, but we're gonna try to hold on to our pod and void out right when we get that trigger so we can come all the way back up. Let's see if Myth gets it. Nice, first try.
Mytherium gets it.
And Shang gets it too.
Shang gets it too, nice. So now they have to do a double plunge and get enough distance so they can get over this wall. If you get stuck behind that wall, it is a soft lock. So
Thanks.
this is really good.
Runner successfully completing Factory V2 with not much delay besides a couple of failed attempts in the 9S room. Alright, and so now we are climbing the elevator. Unlike Shang actually losing a little bit of time to killing that robot.
And Pascal, it took Pascal a little bit longer to get in the elevator than it did for Mytherium.
Yeah,
so yeah, they are neck and neck.
He dragged Pascal a little bit away from the elevator by going to kill the robot. I don't like that strat because I just feel like that robot is almost never going to make the experience difference. And you risk stuff like that. So both these runners doing a strat where we sort of get stuck up on top of the bridge here doesn't actually save any time. It just avoids us having to dodge Soshi's attacks. Although we have seen from plenty of runners in the past, including in this tournament, we have seen runners actually jump too high, jump over the bridge, and soft lock their game, essentially losing the race. So kind of a risk for the runners to go for it.
No bueno.
So there's a little bit of a delay. We have to wait for a certain amount of time before we get this boss to be vulnerable so that we can hit him.
Oh man, this is intense. Mytherium buffing a bit earlier.
I guess he wants to have a sword already spinning as fast as possible. Yeah.
Looks like it. So from here on out, Mytherium will gain some time here by not having to use ranged and melee defensive buffs.
From here on out, guys, there are no more skips. We are, like, at least sort of clips or movement skips. We are all in boss rush mode, so it is combat, combat, combat from here on out.
Very, very close. Mytherium, I think, still a few seconds ahead.
Yeah, I think he gained a little bit of time from 9S room, and then Shang lost a little bit of time with that elevator to Soshi.
They are 2 seconds apart right now.
This is extremely, extremely close, guys, for an hour and 20-minute run.
Yeah, it's gonna come down to.
It's gonna come down to combat in the boss rushes.
Who is more clutch?
I actually lied, guys. There's a lot of bounds by Soshi is kind of the start of the boss rush, but there's a little bit of full circle going on where we do the same out of bounds that you saw in the very beginning in prologue, again to get a little bit better of a beeline.
But there are no new skips coming up.
Yeah, now they are done with the movement skips. I jumped the gun a little bit.
That was certainly something. I had no idea such a vast space
So what are the big time loss, time saves that are coming up that could potentially break the race open?
No,
Well,
thanks.
once they get to the resistance camp, they're going to have a 2D sort of
I'm heading back to the
side-on
resistance
section
camp.
where they have
What
to
about you?
destroy a bunch of machines, and if they go too fast, the machines can actually spawn behind them,
I see.
which can be very bad. You can get stuck. If they are attacking you, you'll just constantly evade instead of being able to throw out damage glitches.
again?
So there's
I'm
that,
not
and then
Scanning for interference.
what else is there?
So there's a couple of things. I think potentially
Let's move.
the core 2 control, you can get kind of trolled and lose some time on core 2
Oh,
if
yeah.
if it drops its core onto the fence.
Why are the
Yep.
numbers increasing like this?
And then Eve, there's a potential phase skip as well as a risky strat that involves an SD where there's potential to die. Especially Mytherium has potential to die on the final boss due to not having defense buffs. But so other of those things, guys, really look out for just small bits of time save where just they did some combat a little bit faster. Maybe they got some lucky crits, or maybe they messed up and they had some kind of awkward damage glitch throwing. It's
Yeah,
really
it looks like
likely-
Mytherium is ahead of his PB.
He is. All right. That I have to say, there's a lot of respect to Mytherium for spaghettied heavily in the first half hour of the run to be bringing it back so strongly and be ahead of his PB.
So both players on that side-scrolling section that I mentioned, we'll see. Oh, see those shield machines behind Mytherium, sort of losing him some time to some having to do some counterattacks, jump over to the proper side. You can lose a lot of time here from that.
Oh man, this is exciting.
Looks
Yeah,
like
these guys-
despite that, Mytherium losing some time there. Sang taking the lead from that, actually.
Sang taking the lead back there. That's what I'm talking about. Little things is probably what's going to decide this race. I would not expect to see one of the big time save time losses. I think it's going to be just little things here that separate these runners.
Up here on Bokushi, there could also be some time loss here at the end if Bokushi decides to do some attacks. Or not, so we'll kind of have to see what happens. One player could accidentally break a leg.
Break a leg. Yeah, breaking a leg, good luck in theater, but bad luck in NieR. Because if you break a leg, it'll delay Bokushi going into his end animation.
Yeah, so we'll see if it does the bouncing attack or if it does the suction right away. Mytherium getting the suction right away, and same for Sang.
Runners getting the suck.
Nice.
2B, you okay?
Alright, so now we're going to attempt to drag this core up onto the hill. If you fight it on the ground where it spawns, it can be a little awkward. It can be too high for your damage glitches to hit.
Mytherium not in quite the best spot, but it's still going to work out. Looks like he did lose a couple seconds there. Sang just doing some fishing real quick.
Sang, what are you doing? You have a race to run. God, I mean, these guys are exactly at the same spot, right? Like, I guess they're RTA in the exact same spot, and the difference is actually that Myth has loaded a little bit faster.
Yeah.
That's something to keep in mind, guys. If it stays this close, we could potentially have a difference between the RTA and loadless make a difference. Wouldn't that be insane?
Yep. Mytherium actually using slow-mo there so that he can do dash swings through that section without the machines dropping down. Just one little small optimization.
There's a couple of combats coming up where slow-mo is going to be a big help. Ooh, we forgot one possible time loss on Eve. So Eve has an attack in his first phase he can give, which loses a large amount of time if the runners mess up and aren't able to damage him quickly enough to prevent it. So that could potentially decide a run too.
Yeah, so what you'll see them do on the first phase of Eve is start slow-moing when Eve is about 60% health. So core 2 here, you can hit it when it's flying around in the air with your damage glitches. You see Mytherium using slow-mo on it.
Oh!
Ooh.
Shang's core dropped on the edge of the fence, but then fell back down to the ground.
Sang getting the partner dialogue cancel, so did Mytherium. So this is going to come down to Eve.
This is neck and neck, guys. I don't know about you, but I am biting my nails. This is too close to call.
What is this?
Looks like he's bombarding the area with force.
Alright guys, if you got a runner you're rooting for, now is the time to send him your energy. We are entering the final boss of the game. There is only one thing left to do, and that's kill Eve.
So it is pretty much impossible for Sang to die here since he does have defensive buffs. Mytherium, if he gets hit twice in a row quickly without healing, he will die. So looks like Sang getting some really good crits on the first phase of Adam, but getting platforms. This is the attack that we were talking about. So he is going to He's going to have to climb up on these platforms to deal damage to Eve here.
That's
Bunch of
it, guys.
spaghetti here.
Barring a death from Mytherium, this is run. Mytherium's gonna take it, but Mytherium has no defensive buff, guys. Eve does a ton of damage, and we do a strat that involves using SD, so it is very possible for Mytherium to die.
Mytherium trying to skip a phase here. He was not able to deal enough damage, so he did actually lose a little bit of time there, but still has the lead. I think this is going to come down to Eve phase 3.
Somehow the wschseng has just gained massive amounts of time back and is actually retaking the lead. Are you kidding me?
That's the risk of going for that phase skip.
NieR refusing to hack Eve.
Refusing to hack, wow.
Oh my god, guys. That is insane. Mytherium got insanely bad luck, and in addition to going for and missing a phase skip, and wschseng has taken back the lead despite getting platforms.
That's a huge feels bad.
Like, oh my god. So now wschseng is likely to take this, but man, all sorts of stuff can happen in this last phase depending on how Eve moves.
Yep, you'll see them doing these pod launches up to Eve to stun him, doing a plunge, and then doing a double laser or a laser. Then once Eve is down to a certain health threshold, they are going to
he can SD. He should SD. Myth can definitely SD right now.
He might not. I don't think he's trying to risk it, honestly.
Yeah, but he needs that time. He needs the SD. He didn't go for the SD strat. Wow. I don't think Myth knows how close this race is.
I'm not sure if he's watching or not.
Oh my god. So now it's going to be all about how close Eve stays, or if one of these runners accidentally dies.
Yes, you want Eve to stay close and then die close to you, because you have to be close to him in order to start the cutscene. wschseng not getting the best luck here.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! wschseng gets it, guys. It is just no input left from here. wschseng takes this race by a few seconds, so it's actually a little bit further away than it looks because of the difference between the loadless timers.
Looks like 4 seconds.
Oh my god, you guys, that was insanely close. I mean,
think that's the closest Automata race I've ever seen.
I mean, that is, if Mytherium, didn't get that massive delay on hacking, he could have won the race. Look at that. Look at those cutscenes starting at the exact same time. I mean, RTA, they almost tied, and it's... Holy moly.
Crazy, crazy race.
Oh my god. Chad, I can't believe what we just saw. Wow, Mytherium put up one hell of a fight. Oh
wow,
my god.
Dude, that was a crazy race.
Myth, do you know how close that race was?
No. I was pretty dang angry. I was pretty, well, I mean, going into Eve, I know I messed up. Trying to get
hold on, I want to stop you real quick. You were within 1 second RTA.
No way.
Yeah, the loadless timer meant you lost by like 4 seconds, but you were within 1 second RTA.
Dang, dude, that was so.
So, like we were going. So, he got platforms, and so I called the race. I was like, unless Myth dies, he's got it. But missing that phase skip, and then NieR just refusing to hack Eve.
NieR.
Yeah.
What was he doing?
He just, I mean, Eve was gonna start a whole nother phase.
I've honestly never heard Eve scream like that in the speedrun ever.
I mean, I don't think anybody could believe it. Chat was going nuts. We were going nuts. We couldn't. And then, because we knew that when you didn't go for the SD strat on Eve, that you didn't know how close it was, and that you needed every little second.
Yeah.
But you got a little bit better last phase Eve RNG.
Yeah, because I saw that I had hit like 3 or 4 crits on my first pod launch and melee attacks on Eve phase 3. I was like, oh, okay, well, we're already at threshold, so I might as well just take him down. And then he just ran away from me.
He was just a huge bully.
Dang.
Oh man, that was an insane race. We were noticing that you had a ton of spaghetti with, I don't know whether it was rust or nerves or just bad luck in the first half hour of the run.
Yeah, like it was in Beauvoir that I really felt it, because like in order to spin up the rotation that I need for double damage glitch, I sort of do this like timing with the rest of my body or whatever. So like when I'm sitting in the chair, I'm like sort of swinging back and forth, and I can't really do that in this couch. And I was like, all my timing was off, and I do blame phase 2 skip on that in particular, because I realized that like I must have been like 10 HP off the actual threshold of it.
Oh yeah, it was very, very close.
Like, holy crap.
There were a lot of lead changes. You guys were almost exactly tied going into Flooded City skips. But the unfortunate landing on the hill there put you behind.
Yeah, I was super angry at that.
But then Shang missed Commander Dialogue skip, and combined with a little bit better of a Grun / copied city, you made all the time back. And you guys even failed 9S clip the same amount of times, like at the same time.
Wow.
So I mean, it was an insane race.
Yeah, on copied city, you like plunged and like landed on top of the pipe like,
Twice.
I know.
Has that happened
Oh
to you
my
before?
god.
I've never seen that. Has that happened to you?
That pissed me off so much. I lost time. I got a first try clip. Don't get me wrong. But the amount of time that I spent trying to do the flooded city box thing to clip through and get out of copied city.
The
Like,
dash through the
holy crap. I wasted like 7 seconds because of that.
And I mean, I don't want to rub salt in the wound, but like that's how close this race was. That
Yeah.
little 7-second things here were the difference between you two.
I think there's only one thing that I'm proud of that happened this run, and that was crane skip.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
was
felt
really cool.
so fluid. I was like, fuck yeah. Yeah. Like, this is a good prologue, and then bridge happened.
Yeah, that was a nice first try crane skip. Especially, so you did crane skip faster than Shang, inventor of crane skip. So there's some pride there.
I do the Canaris way.
So did Shang. Despite him inventing it with the high method. Yeah, he did it the same way on the low rock.
Oh damn. That way feels
both
way
got
more
punches
consistent.
too, by the way.
Oh, we both got
Yeah,
punched?
yeah,
You both
of
got
you
punches.
did.
So you were tied coming out of prologue as well.
Oof.
Shang was actually also spaghettiing quite a bit early in the run. So it was a really close run the whole way through.
He got platforms as well.
Yeah.
By the way. And have you seen Sang do copied city clip? He like
he does it so weird.
He like angles the camera and then he does like 2 back dashes before doing the heavy hold, and like I have no idea what that's supposed to do. Do you know?
He does the Canaris lineup and then back dashes twice before doing the heavy hold.
With like the camera pointing downwards?
Yeah, with the camera pointing downward, lining up with the scuff mark, and then he back dashes twice and does it. It's real. I don't understand it. He got it like 3rd or 4th try though, but yeah, it's crazy.
It's just I've just never seen it
That's
before.
pretty swag. I didn't even know it could be done like that.
Yeah, me neither.
The heavy hold just gives you so much distance.
You guys both had, I think you had 5% crit myth.
Oh, I had a full suite. I had
you had 2 +1s and a +0. Was that right?
2 +1s. One was a diamond, and then like 2 +0s.
Oh wow!
It filled my inventory with resilience also equipped, which is pretty damn rare. Like that never happens to fit so nicely together like that. All the crit chips that I had fit into my inventory. I was like, yes.
So
it's a really good feeling.
Shang is saying in chat that far affecting CCC clip means the backdash version, I guess, is somehow better for him. That has something to do with far.
Could be, yeah. That makes a lot more sense.
There are not a lot of runners who run on PC without far, so that makes sense why we might not have heard of it.
Because I'm imagining it's sort of similar to how some people find swag box clip after Atom a little easier if they backdash
Yeah.
into the pod launch, but pod launching works a little bit differently than a heavy hold.
Well, I also think that that backdash there is to help with the timing of dashing afterwards,
Yeah,
because the
exactly.
pod launches are really fast initially and they slow down a little bit later.
Yeah, that's why I do it.
So it's easier to stay in the wall there, but you don't have anything like that on copied city clip. Like once you're through, you're through.
In some cases. I never realized that you could plunge twice in the copied city tunnel and hit something.
When you hit
I
something,
hit something once and then I hit something again. I was like, what the heck? How long is this tunnel?
I was really worried that you triggered some weird glitch, or maybe you clip back in or something. So
Yeah, I'm really fortunate that I refreshed my dashes on both of those
yeah,
solid objects that were out there. Otherwise, I would have been pretty screwed. Because
man,
I know that distance isn't really as far as I could make just by like punching or whatever.
Crazy stuff.
So if there are any Mytherium fans in chat, sorry to say this is going to be the end for him in this tournament. Myth, do you have any thoughts on your performance in the tournament as a whole, or anything you wanted to add?
I hope Canaris gets a roller coaster clip against Shang.
Against Shang. So let's see, you go out in first, second, third, fourth, tie for fifth, I believe.
Fifth? Yeah.
You tie for fifth with Marble Soda. So that's a pretty good performance. Are you happy with your performance in the tournament overall?
I think so. I mean, honestly, I didn't realize it would go on for so long. I for sure thought I was going to be knocked out pretty early in this phase 2. But
Let's see. You managed to defeat MT in another close race. You know, I'm kind of disappointed that you're out, because you have had the closest races of the tournament by far, Myth. The most exciting and closest races.
I think it goes to show how much I can really sort of improve. But the spaghetti just tastes too good. So,
all right. Anything you wanted to add, MT?
Just that the next tournament match that we are going to have will be Mytherium versus Canaris. Quite a challenge there.
No, Shang versus.
No, Shang versus.
Oh yeah,
I don't
that's
want to
right.
face Canaris. Ah!
It was so close. I can't even remember.
I can't even remember who won.
Yeah, so it's going to be Seng versus Canaris, so that'll be quite a challenge for him. I think Canaris has had some pretty crazy times in the tournament so far, but again, there's always the chance of crashing or soft locking or dying on Eve.
Well, all right, guys. I want to thank everybody in chat for coming and watching this amazing run. I want to thank Mytherium and Shang for putting on an incredibly exciting and close race. And I want to thank MT for being here to co-commentate with me.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's been fun. Extremely good race.
All right, guys. If you're interested in this wonderful speed game, we have a Discord. Someone can link it in chat for me if anyone is still around and has that link. I think that's going to be it from all of us here in this NieR speedrun race. And have a nice night, everybody.
See ya.
Good night, everybody.